How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern with Jim Valley. And what will Jim Valley have to talk about this weekend? Well, obviously, the same thing I'm going to talk about today, this MJF promo. What do you guys think of it? I see it has been very, very polarizing on the social media. So we're going to talk about it here today on the show, as well as all of AEW Dynamite. And in addition to that, yes, everybody, we have 2 WWE Pay-Per-Views this weekend. 2 Peacock Premium events, PPEs. Which, by the way, I've been covered head to toe in PPEs for the last couple of days. I'm in quarantine here. Thank God for you people here live who can entertain me for an hour. But anyway, we'll go over the lineups for both the NXT 2.0 pay-per-view, which I'm sure many of you are clamoring to watch tomorrow night, as well as the Hell in a Cell show, which at least is going to have a good main event with Cody and Seth Rollins. Bianca, Asuka, and Becky should be good. The 6-person mixed tag should be good. Ezekiel and Kevin Owens, well, Kevin Owens is entertaining. But at the end of the day, there's only 6 matches right now, and every single one of them is a Raw match. There are no SmackDown matches on this show, so presumably they'll add some tomorrow. Talk about Forbidden Door. We can talk about ratings. The Memorial Day edition of Raw did horrible, which of course led to people on the internet concluding that, the show's dead. Well, actually, it was on Memorial Day, so it's not dead. This happens every year. And we got the ratings for the go-home show for NXT, Best of the Super Juniors, and so much more. If you would like to give us your feedback today, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. Back in a moment to kick it off, Observer Live.
AEW Double or Nothing is going to be taking place later this month, so I decided to bring back my trivia video. That is right. Today we got AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Let's go ahead and play. Question number 1. Who did Hangman Adam Page eliminate to win the 21-man Casino Battle Royale at AEW Double or Nothing 2019? A.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. And everyone's talking about the MJF promo in the chat right now. And there was a line that MJF had last night. I don't have it verbatim, but he essentially said, all you fans are marks. And anyway.
You agree?
Well, here's what I'll say. Don't be marks, everybody. I'm not saying you are, but don't be marks, okay? Bro. That Sports Illustrated article that I did yesterday was impeccably timed, if I do say so myself. Because for that brief period that MJF was gone, I'm still the best heel in all of wrestling. Now, let's talk about this promo, okay? So, his promo, his delivery, absolutely, completely fantastic. Out of this world. Out of this world. This guy, like, I mean, in any universe, this guy wins best on promos by a landslide, okay? Now, with all that out of the way, and boy, did he talk about a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, did he talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he did.
And, I mean, obviously, if you can't figure this out, it wasn't a shoot. I mean, hello. And boy, did he talk about a lot of things that were supposedly a shoot. Didn't he? Yeah. So, here's the thing, everybody. If you liked it, that's awesome. If you didn't like it, that's awesome. Okay? At the end of the day, here's the deal. I have seen this attempted a million times, okay? It almost never works, okay? That doesn't mean it can't work, but it almost never works, all right? Now, whether you liked it or not, okay, it already didn't work yesterday. What are you talking about, Bryan? Well, did you watch it? In no universe was he hoping to be cheered for his promo. You can listen to the promo. He was trying everything in his power to get booed and to be the biggest heel, and this is exactly what happened with the CM Punk Pipe Bomb promo. If you recall correctly, that promo was written with the idea that Punk was going to be a heel. Because Vince is so out of his mind that he thought CM Punk saying all of these terrible things about this company, the fans are going to turn on him because they stand up for WWE. Well, turns out it ends up being a massive babyface promo that people talk about to this day. And, as much as people like to think, it's legendary and this and that, there's a lot of things that are legendary in wrestling, but at the end of the day, they don't really make that much of a difference in business. And do you guys remember the follow-up to the pipe bomb promo? Bro, everybody had every idea about where this was going to go. He's going to take that belt. He's going to go to Ring of Honor, whatever. He was just back on TV, and they he was just another pro wrestler. Immediately, okay? So if you think that, the pipe bomb promo led to, some big explosion in business for WWE, it didn't. If you think that the Brian Pillman angle led to this big explosion of business for WCW, it didn't. You know what it led to? It led to WCW losing Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman was granted a release because he convinced Eric Bischoff, dude, in order to make people believe this is real, you got to give me a real release. If you give me a real release, then everybody's going to think this is real. So I gave him a real release, and he went and signed with WWE. It benefited one guy, which was Brian Pillman. And quite frankly, even when Brian Pillman went to WWF business didn't explode because they got Brian Pillman. So I've seen this a million times. And what happened was he did a promo that he thought was going to be a massive heel promo, and most of it was. But the problem is, when you air a grievance that some fans also have, that's when you run the risk as a heel of turning babyface and having people cheer you over the company. That absolutely happened last night. Dude, this guy got cheered. They got the biggest pop when he mentioned, would you pay me better if I was an ex-WWE guy? They went crazy because there is a subset of the fans. They think, you know what? I am sick of all these ex-WWE guys. Like, I'm loyal to the originals. So there is something there. And then, of course, during the break, they're chanting his name and, he turned himself babyface. And I don't think he was intending to. So now, obviously everything is, well, how do we follow up with this? That's my question. How do we follow up with this? So, last night I was like, Dave, what's the end game? What's the end game? And he says, well, the end game is to, make a big megastar and boost ratings. Okay, that's fine. How are you going to do that? What's the end game here? How did WWE explode business with the Steve Austin-Vince McMahon feud? Well, first off, Steve Austin, the wrestler, was the babyface, and the owner was the heel. And they never even intended to go this direction. This is another one. After Montreal, when Vince came on TV and did that Brett screwed Brett promo, you guys know that he wasn't trying to be heel Mr. McMahon. That was supposed to be a babyface promo. He thought, I'm going to bury this Bret Hart, and these fans stand up for WWE. They're going to be behind me. Well, they weren't. And he became a massive heel. And then, obviously, they did that storyline. Plus, what the MJF storyline doesn't have is Mike Tyson, who was a massive mainstream star, who ended up being hooked up with Shawn Michaels and then Steve Austin at WrestleMania. But the point is Tony Khan, who has insisted that he's never going to be a television character. Well, is he going to be a character now? Because MJF called him out repeatedly by name in this promo. I don't think so. So then, okay, well, we got to shift this probably to what? CM Punk? So it's going to be CM Punk versus MJF, which I do expect to happen in probably early September, All Out. So then the question is, well, right now, CM Punk, we got 4 weeks of build to Forbidden Door where CM Punk is not facing MJF. So is MJF on ice for weeks now? Is he going to vanish and we're not going to do any follow-up to this? So there's a lot of questions here, and believe me, don't even sit here and think that, oh, Bryan's being such a jerk. Don't think that I haven't heard a lot of this also from people that work for the company that did not like that promo. And they felt that the promo buried the company. They felt the promo got over MJF as a babyface inadvertently. The idea that, in fact, a lot of people do like Wardlow, and they also felt that, man, this was supposed to be Wardlow's weekend. And nobody's talking about Wardlow, and there's no follow-up to Wardlow whatsoever. He's feuding with Smart Mark over a lawsuit because he's beating up security guys. Don't think that I'm like, oh, Bryan's being such a jerk, Hey, listen, if you like it, like I said, that's great. Maybe listen, it's not impossible that they can make this thing work. Trust me. There have been a lot of things in AEW that I've been initially like, dude, what's going on here? And they've made it work, okay? But I've seen this a million times, and it hasn't worked. And you do run the risk of the unintended consequences of people turning on your company and siding with the wrestler. You guys remember Sasha and Naomi? Nobody was siding with WWE. Even though internally, including all of the other wrestlers who normally stand up for each other, they weren't on her side either. So we'll see where this goes, but you're welcome to think whatever you want. It was the first day. His delivery was absolutely fantastic. Everybody's talking about it. From that perspective, it was a big success. But I've seen things like this lead to failure. We'll see what happens.
Feel free to keep talking about it so I don't have to and then take all the slings and arrows when I say that I was pretty nonplussed during the whole thing. And maybe just because I'm bitter and old and everything, but much like you, I have seen this tried a zillion times. And the thing that stuck out to me was when he was coming down to the ring, it was like he's not going to sell anything. This is a guy that went out on a back brace and having oxygen sort of being applied to him, I guess, through his forehead and eyes. But nothing was sold from Wardlow, and nothing was spoken about with Wardlow, and that just poof, disappears, and that's that, and he doesn't sell a thing. And I'm thinking the same thing as he's going on is he going to face Tony Khan? Is CM Punk going to be aligned with Tony Khan as a company man? he's the guy who's the real ratings mover because they left that door open. So that's the direction I think they're going. But how they're getting there, not a fan so far.
Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Question number 1. What is your favorite movie of all time?
One of the Avenger movies. Not the last one that came out, but the second to last one.
Question number 2. Least favorite workout?
Back workout.
Question number 3. What's on your gym playlist?
Gym playlist. I love music, so I have all different genres from rock to R&B to rap. Okay, I'm going to sound like a big mark right now, but one song that has to be on my gym playlist is Edge theme song, the old one. I know my friends I'm in group chat with are going to listen to this podcast and call me a mark, but it is what it is.
Question number 4. What is your process like on a show day?
Process on a show day is being positive and being friendly and trying not to stress. I'm not one of those guys that has to listen to music and get all riled up because it's like I want to be as calm as possible. So I'm always the friendly, nice guy, like upbeat, positive. Because when I go out there, I want my mind to be clear.
Question number 5. How do you spend your days off?
Sleep. As soon as I get home from a loop or a show, I literally sleep for 12 to 15 hours.
Question number 6. Who's your favorite person to have been in the ring with?
3. I have 3 guys. So Josh and Eddie, if obviously those, Eddie's one of my best friends. So we always have that chemistry where it's one of those things where we could go in there and call the whole match in the ring because we've wrestled each other for so many times. Josh, because of how awesome he is, and somebody that I could wrestle every day for the rest of my life is Heat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I could wrestle Heat every day for the rest of my career and wrestle until I'm 60. So those are my top 3.
Good picks. Question number 7. What is your proudest career moment?
Being Impact World Champion at Bound for Glory.
And question number 8. Do you remember the last thing you Googled?
Where the closest gym is to me in Cincinnati. I did that last night.
Question number 9. If you could become an expert in anything overnight, what would it be?
Maybe finances to see what else I could put my money in to make more money.
And last question number 10. What is your best cheat day meal?
I'm a big dessert guy. Usually I dial in my diet like a month to 6 weeks before pay-per-view. And I'll have a cheat meal like once every week, maybe once every 7 to 10 days. And only thing I want to eat on those cheat meals is not even food, it's just sweets. So you're talking about cake, cookies, cheesecake, ice cream. Anything sweet is a best cheat day meal for me.
Yes.
Nothing. People's responses to this telling me why I'm supposed to. Hey, look, this is new to you. For a lot of you people out there, you weren't alive when the pipe bomb promo was happening, or you were too young to
They weren't
remember.
alive. It wasn't that long ago.
How long ago was it? I mean,
God,
it's
it was
2022.
like 10 years ago.
Some young bucks up in this chat and everything. A lot of that promo. You know, I know he didn't say that other people were being unsafe. He just said he didn't drop people on his heads, but it's like, it's pro wrestling. You're supposed to say you're dropping people on your head, and you're not supposed to point out anybody else that is dropping people on their head. They shouldn't be in wrestling if they're doing it on a regular basis. There were just a lot of points in that promo, and who knows, maybe it does work itself out, but I just don't see how this was beneficial to AEW, you know, using almost all your curse words in that segment and everything, and the delivery is fantastic. He is on the track to being a legend because the things he does in the ring, some of the small things that he does, you know, those things get forgotten about because of how big his personality is and how great his promo skills are. And it was just something that whatever comes next, I know that there were executives there, but you didn't need to have MJF on last night. You didn't. You could have had something where he was off for a while, at least selling these things. And if he was going to do this promo, it wouldn't have been right after the pay-per-view where it just erased seemingly everything from the night before. And we're hyper-focused on the MJF-Tony Khan feud and the countdown to him leaving to go to WWE. I just kind of look at it, and there are people that have from AEW's end that are either close or associated with AEW that have had either the same shrug that I have or have not liked it. And that's a very legitimate, real thing because it's just the same way. Is this, is this really what we want to do? And, we'll see. It's not my company, and I'm willing to give it some room to breathe. But again, when has it worked before? And again, I know Dave's called it the Cornette playbook, but it is. I mean, Jim Cornette was calling it all friends wrestling and taking that route and going with it, and then having people at the end cheer that and having it turn around and blow up in their face. When most of the time these things turn around and blow up in your, like you mentioned, with CM Punk and with Vince McMahon and with the intended reaction of getting these things, it never usually goes that way because you can't control the fans. Because it's like, ooh, this is real. It's like, I just, unfortunately,
well, let's go back to something
you
you said earlier, brother. You're
good
bumbling around. So
that
listen,
just sucks.
I
think it's corny.
I do want to say that I did hear from a lot of people that also thought the excessive profanity was a poorly chosen touch, given that all of the Time Warner executives were there. Now, granted, do I think there's any chance that Tony didn't talk to these executives and say we're going to do this, and
of course
there's going to be a lot of swearing? But with that said, there's telling people what you're going to do and then actually doing it on national television.
And having it come across and work. And did it work? And I don't think it did. It came across as just kind of cheap and crass. And I know that's kind of the point of that. But
the point is,
good.
There's a time and a place to do that. And I would not have done it in front of Time Warner executives when you want a new television deal. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they were like, dude, he should say 10 swear words. Let's really go all out. I don't know. But I watched it and I was like, wow. You chose tonight to do all of that? Yeah. Because, I mean, obviously, a lot of it was bleeped, but not all of it. And if you don't know what he said, I mean, it's out on the in the internet. But I mean,
this was not bleeped in Canada? Is that true?
Well, it got through in Canada because I guess they got some bloke with poor reaction time pushing that button. Hey, let me get some more news and we'll talk about the whole show in a second.
Do it.
On a totally different note, we have 2 WWE pay-per-views this weekend. 2. I thought that one was this weekend and one was next weekend. No. So there's NXT 2.0 show on Saturday. Cameron Grimes, Carmelo Hayes. Pretty Deadly versus the Creeds. Braun Breaker, Joe Gacy, where Braun can lose the title via DQ. Yeah. Open your wallet now. Toxic Attraction versus Katana Chance and Caden Carter. Mandy Rose versus Wendy Chu. And Tony D'Angelo and his blokes against Santos Escobar and his blokes. One giant bloke stable at the end, with the winner as the leader. Ugh. Then the next day, we got another show. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, Bianca versus Asuka versus Becky, Lashley versus Omos versus MVP, Ezekiel versus Kevin Owens, Theory versus Ali, and Finn, AJ, and Liv versus Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. All Raw matches. We have no SmackDown matches at this moment. Well, there's only 6 matches, so presumably they'll add something tomorrow, but 2 days in a row, dude. That's my quarantine celebration.
You're not going to watch GCW Tournament of Survival instead and report on that?
No. So also, I'd been asked, who should Punk face at Forbidden Door, and
you
knew my answer, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and in fact, that is the answer, because when putting the show together, it's got to be matches where, the AW person has to win certain matches, and the New Japan person has to win other matches. And they can beat Tanahashi. He can lose to CM Punk. And the other one that's interesting is Okada and Adam Page for the IWGP title, which would be a fantastic match. But it's also the second job in a row for Hangman Page. But I guess they figure, well, if you have a fantastic match with Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight title, and you get a bunch of great near falls, it doesn't matter if you lose again. So I'm all for the match, quite frankly. And there will be more matches announced after, I guess, the Best of the Super Juniors, because I got to do whatever they're going to do there. And that
Dominion coming up too.
Yes, actually, after Dominion is when they'll probably, because New Japan, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they do not announce cards until the previous show is over, and so it's going to be essentially the same thing with this Dominion show. They're not going to set up anything until after they've gone through the show, and the winners are the winners and the losers are the losers. But Best of the Super Juniors is tomorrow, June 3rd.
I was really surprised that there were that many people who kind of echoed what you said at the beginning about Hangman Adam Page taking a second loss in a row. And it's like, man, I would have figured, it's just in the DNA of an AEW fan to really understand New Japan and understand Kazuchika Okada is one of the best wrestlers of all time. I mean, you can argue that now. Hiroshi Tanahashi is one of the best wrestlers of all time, arguably. Actually, it's not arguable. He's in amongst the greatest baby faces of all time, hands down, no question, in that top percentile. And Okada is just the best. And Tanahashi is going to take a loss here to CM Punk because Tanahashi can do that. And the match is probably going to be great because of who's involved in it. And I think Page and Okada is going to be, in its own way, just as great. It's going to be a athletic, really, we're going to, I think, see top-tier Okada. When Okada's the best, he is the absolute best. And he's the best at working with somebody else. And Hangman Page, I know he took an L, and I know this is, how they're going to play it into his persona and some of the head games that he always has with himself. I'm sure they'll figure out a way to play it in there. But, Okada's one of the best wrestlers in the world, bar none. That's it. So I was surprised when there were some people really like, man, if this is true, man, Page taking 2 big losses in a row. It's like you can play that into a story. It's not like he's losing to, take the lowest guys on the roster, and he's dropping falls to them. It's to one of the best professional wrestlers in the world who has been for the last, God knows, 10 years now.
We got this thing going on in the chat, which is exactly what I was told from someone in AEW the day that the show was announced, which is, people are going to be mad. Why isn't this person and this person? Why isn't this person and this person? Because of politics, okay? Why isn't it Moxley versus Tanahashi? I don't know, but obviously there's a political reason, which is probably that they want that on a New Japan show. What do you want me to do about it? Why isn't it Punk and Kenta? Well, because Kenta was badly injured in that ladder match. And quite frankly, I don't care if they both have the same move. Punk and Tanahashi for the title is a much bigger match than Punk and Kenta for the AEW championship.
With all
I'm
due
sorry.
respect. Yes.
So this is what's going to happen. The show is going to be a great show, but you're not going to get all of the matches you want. I've said that from day one. There's
Baby
politics
steps.
at play here.
Yes.
Like a lot of politics.
Yes.
You're gonna look at that show when the full lineup is announced, and you're gonna say, why is so and so and so and so not even on this show? Because of politics. And they're already big AEW names that because of politics aren't going to be on Forbidden Door. And it's going to be very obvious when they're not on Forbidden Door. But anyway.
Well, and let's also say, a lot of times we discuss politics and there's a negative connotation that comes from it. In this case, there's politics because there's moving pieces with these guys' promotions. And I'm sure, could everybody make every fantasy match in the world? Yeah, I'm sure that, when you're booking at home, you can. But when you put things into actual, play, we see this again. We see this on the New Japan side. We've seen it with the All Japan show, with Noah, when they deal with other promotions. So it's it's the very first show of them working together. There's going to be a lot more, hopefully, mixed into. And again, let storylines play out. Let guys get to Japan and do some things, and let some people from Japan come over now that the restrictions are down, and let them do some things. We just had Wheeler Yuta go over. He's still over there for the finals of the Best of the Super Juniors. But it's okay to let some things play out here, and to hope that they're going to be working together in the future, so we can have maybe 1 or 2 of these a year where maybe down the line we can get more of those dream matches, but let the relationship build itself first. And again, politics in this case is not a negative, as when we usually talk about like there's politics backstage and this person hates this person. No, there's just a lot of moving actual parts, for your storylines that you need to deal with.
Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Hey there, everyone. It's Denise Salcedo, and I'm back with another commercial break. I had the opportunity to chat with Willow Nightingale, and she played my Q&A game. Here is part one. Question number one. When you're not wrestling, how do you spend your time off?
A lot of the things I spend time doing outside of wrestling involve wrestling or are related to wrestling, but I recently got into bouldering, which is like rock climbing indoors on the walls without like the harnesses or whatever.
One of your videos, yeah.
Yeah, so I recently got into that, and that's like my big hobby that has nothing to do with wrestling, because everything else pretty much goes back to wrestling in one way or another. So bouldering it is.
What's your skill level like in bouldering? Are you like really good at it?
Not
Are you still
good.
struggling?
No. It's not good. I've really only been doing it for like a month or so. The part that I'm really good at is falling. I've got good mobility.
Back at the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Alive. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. All right, couple of quick notes. Raw, Memorial Day, didn't do well, but it's Memorial Day. It never does well. 1.5 million first hour, 1.6 million second hour, 1.4 million third hour. So, yeah, that's the story. All right, let's talk about this Dynamite show. Opened up with Punk and FTR beating Max Caster and the Gun Club. Holy smokes, this crowd was out of their minds all night long. Just a fantastic crowd, 15,000 people in the forum. And they went nuts for this match. They went nuts for the Gun Club and Bowens and Punk and FTR. Punk went crowd surfing, I think banged his leg on the guardrail. So I'm sure that didn't feel good. And then, yes, we had another incident where Punk tried to springboard and fell down. And man, they gave him hell for a second, but he got him back into it. Goes up top for the flying elbow, puts his hands up and goes, sorry, And they all cheered him like crazy. And then they did the FTR big rig finish. And then Punk did a promo acknowledging the fall without talking about it. But basically saying, if you watch this match, I still got a lot to improve on. I got to get better. And that's what I'm going to do as champion. I'm going to get better. And then, of course, he asked, well, who's my opponent going to be at Forbidden Door? And it was the debut of Hiroshi Tanahashi, who got a huge pop. And CM Punk, Hiroshi Tanahashi, AEW World Title, coming up at Forbidden Door. And then, of course, we had the MJF promo, which we've talked about ad nauseum. This led to the return of Miro. Miro returned to face Johnny Elite and killed this dude. Avoided a dive, Mashka kick, game over, the former Accolade, and got the submission. I'm actually not sure. I don't even know if Johnny Elite is even signed. It feels like he's doing like per-day deals.
Yeah,
for the
that's what it feels
whatever.
like too. It would make sense for him considering the amount of indies in Mexico and other things that he has. That it's probably more beneficial for him to have the deal that he has.
Yes, per appearance it appears. All right, we had a Jericho Appreciation Society promo, which was this was great. They let both Parker and Daddy Magic speak. I thought Daddy Magic was going to be a lot more over than he actually was. But he still got a good reaction. But after those promos that he cut that were online, I guess not enough people saw them. But they were unbelievable. But anyway, Jericho then does the promo, and out comes Eddie Kingston and Regal. They announce that Blood and Guts is coming. At first, Jericho says he's not going to do Blood and Guts. But then Ortiz hits the ring, cuts off some of Jericho's hair. Jericho's furious. And so he accepts the challenge for Blood and Guts, which is coming up. We'll get the dates here in a moment. And also says, on one condition, he will be facing Ortiz in a hair versus hair match. We'll see what happens. I know everyone thinks there's no way Jericho's losing his hair. And if you asked, I would say he's not losing his hair. But I can't guarantee that because he loves switching up his look. And it's summer, and it's hot. You know how many times Super Porky got its head shaved in the summer? I think for 29 straight years. So
is Jericho going back out on tour? It's hot out there on stage with Fozzy. So
well, it is, but you can wear a hat. Young Bucks, Red Dragon, and Hicalayo versus Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Christian Cage, Darby Allin, Matt Hardy. Absolutely great, fantastic party match. Until Hicalayo gets low-bridged, and, bro, this guy landed right on his head. And I'm not talking like, I use that term a lot, but, dude, this guy landed right on his head. And I thought he was dead, and the fans thought he was dead, and everyone in the match, I'm pretty sure, thought he was dead. And this bro just got right back up and kept going. So thank God he didn't get seriously hurt.
Can you put that in layman's terms for everybody?
That was so scary.
He
landed upside down only on his head. Not the rolling, not the back roll forward. He landed on his head on the cement.
Outside the ring. That's
God.
And then got right back up, and and Jim Ross, I know, was shocked, but it's like, well, adrenaline, because I'm sure he had a bunch of adrenaline going through his body with the fact that he knew he could still feel his fingers and his toes, so yeah, he was right back up quick. A very tough man, that Hicalayo.
Bucks hit the Meltzer driver on Jungle Boy, so it looks like we're going to get Young Bucks versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for the tag team titles. Coming up here soon. We had Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee promo with their entourage. We had an Athena promo where Stokely came out to cut a promo for Jade, and Kiera Hogan stepped up, and then Chris Statlander showed up, and we got a lot of matches coming from this crew right here. Wardlow came out. He wrestled J.D. Drake. He powerbombed him twice, and then Smart Mark came out and said, we're filing a lawsuit because you're beating up security. Wardlow beat up more security.
What'd you think?
That's the follow-up to this 2.5-year storyline. Bruh. Ruby Soho and Toni Storm versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. It was a good match, although it looked like they were rushing to get this match done. They were going 1,000 miles an hour. And the most horrifying move in all of wrestling is Toni Storm's running hip attack. She's killed everybody with this move. She killed Britt once, she killed Britt twice, and she killed Jamie Hayter in this match. Dude, go back and watch every single one of them. They are brutal.
Well, and before you watch this one, watch the move right before that, because I think she rocked her with something before she ended up in the corner and then got smashed with Tony's maneuver.
And then ended up with Ruby Soho pinning Britt Baker with the Destination Unknown. So it looks like she's going to be in line for one of the belts at some point here. All right, so Battle of the Belts is August 5th, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Rampage Friday, and we don't need Fauntleroy because this will be a live show. Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, the debut of Athena, and Scorpio Sky defending the TNT title against Dante Martin. Dynamite next week, Hangman Page versus David Finlay, which should be a great match. Big win for Hangman to set up presumably the match with Okada. And then the main event was Jon Moxley, Daniel Garcia with Jericho and William Regal. I believe for the first time ever, they had a 4-minute overrun. And even though I put over YouTube TV as never, ever screwing up any of my recordings, they must not have known because I didn't see the very end of this. It just cut off. Yeah. So I don't know what happened. I got a report, but they had a really good match. Moxley's awesome. Garcia's great. Moxley's just cut all up from Sunday. He's bleeding everywhere. They're beating the hell out of each other. Bumps through the announcer's table. And finally comes out to, Jericho runs down to the ring to distract Moxley. But Eddie Kingston runs down to make the save, but he trips. And he literally stumbled into Chris Jericho, so it all worked out. And then Moxley hits the paradigm shift. Bulldog choke gets the win. And then Moxley also accepts Blood and Guts. And they announce Jericho Ortiz for Road Rager, which is in 2 weeks. And, that's it for the show. So, there you go. A lot of people say this is like the best Dynamite ever. I would not say it was the best Dynamite ever, but it was a hell of a show. It was a great show with a great crowd.
Is Miro going to fight God?
I don't know.
Man, he really is. The Redeemer is back. And I like that role I know some people who are big Johnny Elite fans, John Morrison fans, were probably pretty salty about him, losing like that. But hey, look, Miro coming back, I don't want to see Miro, unless he's killing 2 people at a time. Miro should be in a mix, always facing, good people and maybe losing some, but defeating those people. I think with Miro coming back, he is a threat. He's somebody that the fans respond to. His promos have been fantastic, and we haven't seen him to the best of his abilities so far in AEW. Not quite yet. I mean, we did for a little bit with the AEW TV or the TNT title. Pardon me. But I think there's still a long way you can go with him, and I hope this is going to be the start of that, and I hope he's going to be here on the regular, and now that he's all healed up and his TV stuff is done, let's go.
I love how you can actually see me and I'm doing something and you wrap it up right then.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Hey, you guys want to hear from Nick Aldous tomorrow? Well, you're gonna. I got him on the show. Nick Aldous of the NWA. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. But anyway, he's going to be on the show tomorrow.
Former NWA champion?
Oh,
you not want to
righty.
Say that? Were we not supposed to say that?
No, we can say that. We got a lot of...
Blocked
messages.
Me on Twitter. I don't know if I want to talk to him.
He blocked you on Twitter?
And the amazing part was
what'd you do, you idiot?
It was during the Impact days where I was a big fan of Nick Aldis. I'm still a big fan of Nick Aldis. I don't care that he blocked me on Twitter. But, when he was becoming the Impact champion and they were looking to do, they had good ratings in the UK, and you see his whole delivery, you see him in the suit. I thought he was always fantastic. And the only thing I could think of is Dave, there was something about Impact that Dave said that he responded to, and then all of a sudden, a couple days later, I realized that was blocked. So I don't know if it was just taking out revenge against anybody that happened to be associated with the site, but I never said one cross word about him. And I really do think he's great, and he's one of those guys that, thank God there is an NWA and other promotions around where you could see Nick Aldis. I know we saw him against Cody Rhodes in Ring of Honor, but he is again, there's a lot of great wrestling out there that is not in WWE or in AEW, and he has been fantastic in the ring. He fits the role. He always sounds great in his interviews, always looks great. His wife is fantastic. Mickie James is, one of the best women of all time, I think. So a great package, but come on, block me, Nick. What's that about?
Ask him tomorrow.
That's how I'm actually going to start off the interview, actually.
I want to see what you did. I want to see why you got blocked.
Nick, with your punk
I'll get
ass,
blocked by
block
nobody
me?
except Corbin.
Corbin?
Yeah, Baron Corbin. Which is funny because I bet you anything if Corbin lived next door, we'd be best friends.
Oh, grilling steaks and whatnot?
Oh,
I
man.
can see that.
Man,
yeah.
We're cut from the same cloth. But his character,
Same hairline,
his
too.
character was very boring for a while. Thus, I guess I paid for that.
No, we all paid for it, and they even admitted that.
Yeah. I said the whole thing was boring. I get blocked, but they turn into a storyline about how it's boring and, stand up for WWE, brother. Come on. You dork. Unblock me. Let's talk watches or something. All right.
Look at you now that you're Mr. I got a brick on my wrist,
Get
you
out
know?
of here. All right, let's talk about some of this. MJF's promo is excellent, this person says. Sorry, everyone. You can pelt me with eggs all you want, but that MJF promo was bloody brilliant. I don't care if it was too insider or reminded you of TNA or WCW. I was locked and engaged the entire time. Incredibly compelling TV, just excellent. Also,
why does everyone have to hang themselves on a cross? If you like it, you like it. Oh, don't kill me for my... I think it's great. I don't care. Okay, good. Just say that you liked it and the reasons why. You don't have to hang yourself.
This person, I can't even read the headline. MJF could probably say it on national TV, though. I still think the telling line, the one that shifted the crowd to MJF's side, was when he talked about paying ex-WWE guys way more than him. Absolutely, that's what did it. He says, I think that's a dangerous idea to play that could blow up in their face. There are a lot of ex-WWEers at AEW, and they're not all heels. Well, it is ironic that it was followed immediately by a match with 2 ex-WWE guys. And they didn't get booed out of the building or anything like that. This person here says, Brian, I think the end game is a faction war. AEW originals versus ex-WWE guys. MJF will lead... So he's going to be a babyface. This is what you guys don't get. I don't think that's supposed to be a babyface promo. If you listen, I don't say I don't think. If you listen to that promo, in no universe was he trying to turn babyface. But that's what happened. Because you run that risk doing promos like this.
When you have a really talented guy who's really great at what he does, and he goes and does something like that, what do you expect to happen? Like, that's been the other thing. It's like, what did you expect to happen? That people were going to, like, start chanting for Tony Khan and beg him to come out? They were going to storm the ring? Like, what did you think the result of that is going to be, besides people going, yeah, we are idiots. MJF, you are the man.
Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
My grip strength is not there yet, so I have to use, like, the full, easy, like, level 1 paths. You see people who are, like, climbing, and they just, like, put like their finger on like this and they're like holding their whole bodies like this, and I'm like, how? But I'll get there, you know. Again, back to my lesson of like, just keep doing it, you'll get there eventually.
Hey, next thing you know, you're gonna be out like in the mountains climbing.
Oh,
you're gonna be so advanced. You're gonna be like, yes. Question number 2: who's been the opponent that you've wrestled that you couldn't believe you were in the ring with?
Oh wow, okay. Mercedes is like the first person that comes to mind because it's so fresh, but it wasn't at Ring of Honor because that was my second time I wrestled her. The first time I wrestled her, I think was even more like a mind-blowing experience because it was my debut for Shimmer, which was a huge goal of me from the beginning. And then it was my first time wrestling someone who I personally considered like one of my role models. So that was like, at that time was like, that was insane.
Question number 3: what was the first and last concert you've been to?
So the first concert that I went to was actually an ABBA concert. Oh. I'm not sure if it was like the actual ABBA. I don't think it was. It was probably like a tribute band or something. Right. But my mom took me when I was 12. So I didn't really know what was going on. I was just like, sure, Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, let's do it. And the last one I went to, I honestly can't remember. I think the last show that I went to was Sad Summer Fest. In 2019.
Nice. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I don't have a lot of time for concerts these days. But I really want to see Phoebe Bridgers. I think she's going to be around me in May. So maybe I can make that happen.
Question number 4: do you have any pets?
Yes, I have a tuxedo cat named Salvatore. He is big and fantastic, and he's sassy and he talks a lot.
Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, now enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Want to, if you get to my Twitter at Bryan Alvarez, I've linked up the tweet by Brian Pillman Jr. Want to send condolences to him on the death of his mother. Melanie Pillman passed away. So he's got some stuff up there. And Facebook, he's written a lot more as well. And I'm sure there's going to be something up on the front page with some quotes as well. But all the best to Brian Pillman Jr. on the passing of his mother, who I think we just saw a little while ago on that, was it Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the story was told on the Dark Side of the Ring and everything, and then, we got everything that came with it with MJF and afterwards, which was a little shaky there. But yeah, I mean, also went out with the Ultimate Warrior, as everybody remembers as well, too, and had a very troubled life, obviously, just like Brian Pillman had a very troubled life. And the bottom line is there are kids that lost their mother, yesterday. And that's really the only thing that matters at the end of the day. So the best to the entire Pillman family and everybody affected by that.
Yes, it was Dark Side of the Ring. So if you haven't seen that one, it's quite the episode, if I recall. So all the best to Brian Pillman Jr. and his family. We're going to wrap it up for today. But if you're a subscriber to WrestlingObserver.com, myself and Vinny, both racked with COVID. We'll be back later on tonight. The Bryan and Vinny Show, talking AEW and NXT. Vinny's thoughts on whatever's going on with MJF. We're going to talk about that. And I'll be back tomorrow on this show. Wrestling Observer Live. I want to thank you all for listening today. Top tier YouTube subscribers, Twitch homies. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.